Good evening, you're tuning into 7Edition. I'm Azleena Najri and these are the headlines. Sarawak to use English for maths and science subjects next January. Hostel warden sentenced to 133 years jail over sexual assault cases. And Huawei fights back against US ban. Now, a hostel warden was sentenced to a total of 133 years in jail by the Kanga Sessions Court for sodomizing 2 students and molesting 3 others at a tahfiz centre. Judge Ainul Sharin Mohan today also ordered the 28-year-old accused to be given 42 strokes of the rotan. Now, the sentence was meted out after Nawawi Anwar pleaded guilty to 28 counts of sexual assault on the 5 students aged between 10 and 15. The offences were committed at our Lauda Tahfiz Centre in Simpang Empat, Kanga last month. The man, however, claimed trial to 3 other charges for sodomizing and showing pornographic material in his phone to an 11-year-old student. During mitigation, a legal aid lawyer representing the accused told the court that her client was also a victim of sodomy while studying at a Tahfiz Centre in Kedah. The court has set July 9th for case management for the 3 charges. Now, the leader of a wolf pack terror group was brought to the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court today to face charges. The group had planned to attack 4 high-profile individuals and places of worship during the first week of Ramadan. 34-year-old construction worker Mamat Mahadi was slapped with 8 charges under the Penal Code. These charges include seeing support for a terrorist act by making threats to attack the Sri Mahamariamman Seafield Temple in Subang Jaya through WhatsApp group Sejati Sejiwa. He was also accused of threatening to assassinate Malaysian citizens and obtaining 6 pipe bombs for the same purpose. Mahadi purportedly committed the offence at a house in Kampung Teris, Hulu Terengganu on May 5th. No plea was recorded and the court also did not offer the accused any bail. The court fixed July 9th for mention of the case. A man who allegedly slapped his 6-month-old baby girl to death at Kampung Baru in Padang Besar Perlis has been remanded for a week to facilitate investigations under the Penal Code for murder. Now, according to State Police Chief Datuk Nur Mushar Muhammad, the 44-year-old suspect, who is mentally ill, was arrested at a location in Arau yesterday. On Saturday, the suspect allegedly had an argument with his wife after he refused to take his medicine. The suspect then vented his anger on the baby girl. Worried of their safety, the wife took her 4 children, aged between 6 months and 7 years, and sought shelter at a friend's house. The mother then found the baby girl unconscious at around 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. She was pronounced dead while being treated at the Tuanku Fauzia Hospital's emergency unit. The Federal Court has allowed Cradle Fund CEO Nazrin Hassan's widow, Samira Muzaffar, bail of 500,000 ringgit pending trial for the murder of her husband. Following the decision, the 44-year-old accused was seen leaving the Putrajaya Court's lockup with her face covered in a long black shawl in a black multi-purpose vehicle with several members of her family at 12:40 p.m. Earlier, at about 11:40 a.m., several family members converged on the office of the Federal Court Registrar to settle her bail. Now, yesterday, a panel of 5 judges headed by Federal Court Judge Tan Sri Azhar Muhammad allowed Samira's bail application with several conditions imposed. Among others, she has to surrender her passport to the court and must report to the police station once in 2 weeks and must remain indoors between 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. Samira, together with 2 teenagers aged 14 and 17, and Indonesian national Ika Wahyu Lestari, who is still at large, were charged with the murder of Nazrin, 47, at a house in Mutiara Damansara between June 13th and 14th last year. The trial, however, has been postponed to September 3rd. Meanwhile, the warrant of arrest issued against the former Malaysia External Intelligence Organisation (MEIO) Director General, Datuk Hassanah Abdul Hamid, has been cancelled. Justice Colin Lawrence Sekera made the decision after hearing submissions from her counsel as to why she failed to attend the court proceeding earlier. The warrant of arrest was issued on May 24th after Datuk Hassanah and her bailers failed to appear in court for the case management without giving any reason. Earlier, her counsel told the court that she had apologized for not being present during the case management. Datuk Hassanah was charged in her capacity as Director General of the Research Division in the Prime Minister's Department with committing criminal breach of trust involving 50.4 million ringgit belonging to the government. She allegedly committed the offence between April 30th and May 9th last year at her office in Putrajaya. The charge under the Penal Code provides a maximum jail term of 20 years, whipping and fine upon conviction. The trial has been fixed for February 3rd next year. In Negeri Sembilan, a 56-year-old man was killed while his son suffered injuries after an air conditioning unit at an ice cream shop in Kuala Pilah exploded this morning. The 11 a.m. incident happened when So Cho Wen was repairing the air conditioning unit with his son, Wiu Chuen. The 56-year-old victim died after suffering serious head injuries. Initial investigation showed the explosion occurred when the man was trying to repair one of the damaged air conditioning unit's compressors on the first floor of the premises. The sudden explosion caused the victim to fall from the stairs while his son suffered minor injuries. A medical team rushed to the location when confirmed that the victim had died on the spot. The injured son was sent to Kuala Pilah Hospital for treatment. Now, Sarawak will start using English as a medium of instruction for mathematics and science in primary school from January next year, making it the first state in the country to do so. State Minister of Education, Science and Technology Research, Datuk Sri Michael Manyin Jawong, said the implementation would begin with the pupils in Year 1. He explained the idea to implement this program was to make the children more competitive and confident to speak up and express themselves in English. Datuk Sri Manyin also said 1,046 out of a total of 1,265 primary schools in the state will take part in the program. Now, the remaining 219 Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan Cina (SJKC) indicated that they prefer to continue the subjects using Mandarin. Following the decision, 2,657 teachers need to be trained by next year to teach the Year 1 students. To ensure the success of this program, the state government will also allocate 9 million ringgit to train the teachers. Veteran crooner Datuk Dahlan Zainuddin was laid to rest at the Bukit Kiara Muslim Cemetery today. He passed away at the Selayang Hospital yesterday evening at the age of 78. A somber mood filled the air as the late singer was laid to rest after Zohor prayers. Apart from his family and relatives, a multitude of Datuk Dahlan's friends from the entertainment fraternity were also present at the cemetery. They included the likes of prominent film producer Datuk Yusof Haslam, Datuk Aziz Bakar, and veteran singers Datuk DJ Dave, Uji Rashid, Rahim Ma'ruf and Hermantino. Datuk Dahlan passed away at 9:48 p.m. at the Selayang Hospital 3 days after suffering a stroke. He failed to regain consciousness after being admitted to the emergency ward of the hospital on Saturday. Now, earlier the day, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah also paid his last respects to the Datuk Dahlan at the Saidina Abu Bakar As-Siddiq Mosque in Bangsa.
Dan saya memang minat lagu dia dan dia seorang yang baik. Bagi saya satu kehilangan besar. Dia seorang yang terkenal, satu biduan yang banyak memberi atau memberi contoh yang baiklah kepada masyarakat. Dan saya harap ramai lagi lah dapat mencontohi dia untuk menaikkan nama artis tempatan.
His Majesty also performed the funeral prayers led by the Chief Imam of the mosque, Muhammad Faizul Muhammad Razali. The late singer leaves a wife, Datin Efa Rizan, and 3 children. When we come back, new song features some delicious tunes. Details next. We're back with our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Remember when our elders always remind us not to play with our food? Well, it's important to ensure proper table manners. You might not mind it that much when it comes to the Venopian Solitude. Recently, the local indie band charmed the netizens with a song that immediately puts us into a festive Idul Fitri mood. The song, which was uploaded on Twitter a few days ago, has since garnered over 40,000 views. KFC Malaysia recently collaborated with the band to create the song called Raya Slumber, using only its products and food. The band, led by singer-songwriter Takahara Suiko, came up with this unique song by tapping and drumming on a variety of dishes from the restaurant chain, including buckets of fried chicken, nuggets and drinks. This was made possible with a tool called Makey that allows users to virtually convert any items, including food, into musical instruments. The band also released the behind the scenes of how they actually created the music, using only fried chicken and chicken nuggets connected to a laptop. The video has received a lot of positive responses from Malaysian Twitter users, many of whom left comments praising the band's originality. Now, of course, the band also assured that there was no food wastage in the making of the song, and all the wires and devices were thoroughly cleaned before and after they were used. Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB has given assurance it will refund the excess payment made by consumers if it is proven that excess charges occur on the respective electricity bills. In a statement, the utility giant said it is currently focusing on ensuring every customer's complaint is investigated and appropriate action is taken. This includes refunding the excess payments if it is proven that excess charges occur by crediting it back to the customer's bill. TNB added it takes its customers' concerns seriously regarding issues related to a significant increase in their electricity bills and are committed to resolving them. Meanwhile, the company denied claims on social media that the government has instructed the company to increase electricity tariffs by 30%. It described the message, purportedly a directive issued by TNB's board of directors, as false and baseless. It also stressed that TNB does not employ anyone as named in the message. Meanwhile, in Malacca, over 500 TNB customers flooded the national utility company's Meet the Customers Day program at Wisma TNB on Jalan Bandar Kaabah today. The event, which entered its second day, saw numerous customers demanding an explanation for the unusually high electricity bill charges. State Customer Service Head Ahmad Rezahan Mohamad said many customers had already accepted the detailed explanations by TNB representatives during the program.
Dan kita galakkan kalau boleh pada masa tarikh itu dibuat, mungkin lepas raya dan sebagainya, kita plan untuk berjumpa dengan pengguna dan mungkin sesi dialog akan diadakan pada masa tersebut. Secara promptu lah, maknanya secara kebetulan.
So, TNB Melaka berlapang dada lah untuk adakan sesi dialog?
Sentiasa berlapang dada. Kami sentiasa menerima apa-apa saja feedback daripada ataupun maklumat daripada pengguna-pengguna semua.
He added TNB would consider continuing such a program outside the confines of its office after Idul Fitri, following requests from customers. Ahmad Rezahan further said so far, over 580 complaints were recorded from domestic and commercial users on unusually high bill charges and smart meter problems at the 5-day program. Some customers met at the event claimed that their electricity bills increased by as much as tenfold. Malaysia has been flagged for currency manipulation by the US Treasury Department after the latter lowered the qualification threshold for its watch list. However, Bank Negara Malaysia said the move is not expected to have any effect on the country's economy, which remains resilient, underpinned by strong fundamentals. The central bank, in a statement, said Malaysia supported free and fair trade and did not undertake unfair currency practices. It also said the ringgit exchange rate is market determined and is not relied upon for exports competitiveness. Bank Negara also said any intervention is limited to ensuring an orderly market and avoiding excessive volatility of the exchange rate that may affect macroeconomic stability. Other countries included in the watch list, which provides no immediate penalty, are Singapore, China, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Japan, South Korea and Vietnam. Among the criteria for the list are countries with a current account surplus equivalent to 2% of the gross domestic product, as well as persistent intervention on markets for a nation's currency. After the break, Egg Boy back in the news, but this time for a different reason. We'll be right back. We're back with World News now. Huawei on Tuesday has filed a motion with the Texas court to overturn the ban on its products, arguing that the 2019 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, illegally targeted the company in violation of due process. The company argues that the ban is unconstitutional, as Washington specifically singled out two Chinese firms, ZTE and Huawei. The Chinese telecom giant maintains that the NDAA is part of the Trump administration's campaign to put political and economic pressure against China to give U.S. companies an unfair competitive advantage. The motion seeks a judge's decision on newly imposed restrictions on Huawei products without going to a full trial. Now, back in March, Huawei sued the U.S. over a clause of the NDAA which bans government agencies from procuring telecommunications hardware made by the Chinese firm. Pressure has been mounting on Huawei, especially after the U.S. government put the company on its entity list, which requires U.S. companies to gain approval from government to sell equipment to Huawei, effectively banning any interactions between the company and U.S. firms. The court has scheduled a hearing for September 19th to consider Huawei's claims. Now, Japanese police on Wednesday searched the home of the man behind a stabbing rampage in the town of Kawasaki that killed two people just a day earlier. The 51-year-old attacker, identified as Ryuichi Iwasaki, died after stabbing himself during the incident. However, his motives for the horrifying attack remain unclear. The man's home, which is not far from the scene of the incident, was searched and unspecified items were also seized. Local media reported Iwasaki was living with relatives in their 80s but gave no further details. The rampage in the town south of Tokyo on Tuesday morning killed an 11-year-old schoolgirl, and a 39-year-old identified as government official Satoshi Oyama, a Myanmar specialist. 17 more people, mainly young children aged between 6 and 12, were also injured. The attacker was believed to have crept silently up behind the pupils as they waited for their school bus and began slashing randomly at them with knives in both his hands before fatally stabbing himself in the neck. In the wake of the attack, Japan's government said it would review measures to ensure the safety of children traveling to and from school. The incident has since shocked the country, where violent crime is rare, in part because of strict regulations on gun ownership. Now, the Australian teen who egged a far-right senator over his offensive comments about the Christchurch mosque attacks in New Zealand has made it in the news yet again. Will Connolly, nicknamed as Egg Boy, has donated almost 100,000 Australian dollars raised for his legal defence to the victims of the tragic shootings. Connolly wrote on Instagram late Tuesday that he had decided to donate all the money to help provide some relief to victims of the massacre. This after two GoFundMe pages set up to raise money to cover Connolly's legal fees and to buy more eggs quickly attracted thousands of dollars in donations. The 17-year-old added he transferred a total of 99,922 Australian dollars and 37 cents to the Christchurch Foundation and Victim Support because a law firm acted pro bono for him, hence he didn't need the money. Connolly made international headlines when he cracked an egg over controversial then-Senator Fraser Anning's head at a press conference on Muslim migration. He was later issued with an official caution for his stunt. Amnesty International said Wednesday it had new evidence that Myanmar's military is now committing war crimes and other human rights violations against ethnic Rakhine rebels, including extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, torture, as well as enforced disappearances. The armed forces have deployed thousands of troops and heavy artillery across northern Rakhine state in recent months, where Arakan Army or AA rebels are fighting for more autonomy for the state's ethnic Rakhine Buddhists. The state was previously the scene of the military's bloody crackdown against Rohingya Muslim community in 2017. Amnesty's report documents 7 unlawful attacks that killed 14 civilians and injured dozens more, saying notorious infantry units have been deployed against the ethnic Rakhine. In an unprecedented move after the AA attacks police posts in January, Aung San Suu Kyi's government has ordered the army to crush the rebels. Access to the conflict area is heavily restricted, but details of civilian deaths have emerged over recent weeks and months. Now, thousands of people thronged a Vienna cathedral Wednesday to mourn Formula One legend and Austrian national hero Niki Lauda. The funeral ceremony was also attended by a host of F1 stars, including Alain Prost and current world champion Lewis Hamilton. Fans also queued in the rain for hours outside the church to pay their last respects. Lauda's casket arrived at St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna's historic centre, accompanied by a police motorcade, and was carried inside by pallbearers, followed by his family. His wife, Brigitte, accompanied by 2 of his sons, then placed his helmet on top of the closed brown casket, placed in front of flower wreaths and a portrait of the Austrian, sporting his signature cap. Mourners also filed past the casket to bid a final farewell before a public mass and a private funeral. It is the first time a sports star has received such an honour at the cathedral, a distinction previously accorded only to prominent personalities such as the former Crown Prince of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, Otto von Habsburg. The 3-time F1 world champion, who came back from a horrific crash in 1976 and founded several airlines, died in Switzerland on May 20th at the age of 70, 9 months after he underwent a lung transplant. He had struggled with health issues since miraculously surviving the 1976 crash that saw his car engulfed in flames at the Nürburgring in Germany.